Hello everyone, you join me today in the 2020 BMW X3 30i. This is the one with the 4-cylinder engine and xDrive all-wheel drive. The only way that we can get the 30i in Canada, there is no two-wheel drive version of this car, and this car has been given to me for a couple days by Calgary BMW, part of the Dilawri group. All of their information is linked down below, and many thanks have to go off to them that allowed me to play around with this car for a couple days. Now, I've been able to test out more than a few of these premium compact crossovers. It's perhaps one of the most vicious in the entire car industry. There's a lot to choose from and a lot that I have really quite enjoyed, but I've been excited to drive this X3 for quite some time. Nevertheless, I'm still going to tell you everything that I've discovered with my time in this X3 and then leave it in my ranking system to see where it competes against other compact SUVs. So this is the third generation of X3. It was totally revised in 2018, where the interior and the exterior were overhauled entirely, and it grew ever so slightly in each dimension. Probably the most significant was another 50 millimeters in the wheelbase. When it first came out, the two versions of the X3 were the 30i, which I'm driving here, and then the M40i, the 3-liter 6-cylinder version, part of that M Performance middle ground. But now for 2020, we have the first ever X3M and the X3M competition. This is very exciting. It's the first time the M division has put their badge properly on a compact crossover. Hopefully in time I'll be able to test out that one as well. But you can't have a vehicle like that unless it's built on good foundations, and overall I am very impressed with this X3. I'm in the entry-level version. I don't have many options equipped, but it kind of comes with the majority of the things that I think people are looking for, and it comes with many of the highlighted features of many modern BMWs that people are expecting to buy into when they're going and upgrading their vehicle. So we have the latest generation of iDrive and the rotary wheel that has the handwritten text input. No gesture control in this model, you'd have to upgrade to go get that. We have a smaller digital instrument cluster with the physical binnacles in place, and leatherette surfaces almost everywhere. We do have a leather-wrapped heated steering wheel as standard. The front seats are heated as standard as well. Some other things include the wireless Apple CarPlay, the hands-free power tailgate, LEDs all the way around, forward collision warning, and lane departure warning. As someone that's 6'4", I am more than happy in the front seats, and even sitting behind myself, I'm quite impressed with the amount of space that's in this X3. I think you could easily take 4 6-footers about on a trip. The rear seats all fold independently. The trunk space is large and has some hidden space below where you can hide away the security cover or just store away some other items as well. And then this engine, it's a 2-liter twin-scroll turbocharged engine that has 248 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, with automatic stop-start. With a few different driving modes, you have Eco, Pro, Comfort, Sport, and then Sport Plus, doing the things that you would typically expect all of these modes to do. But I'll come back to that in a second, because I want to focus on the engine and the powertrain and all the other mechanical components that go along with it. You could really be fooled into thinking this car doesn't have an engine under the bonnet. No rattling, no vibration whatsoever. It's immensely quiet. I'm really impressed with that. The only time I'll notice something in the engine is that in eco mode, you can really feel that engine laboring a bit as the transmission is reluctant to gear down in a way to save fuel. And the automatic stop-start is definitely better in this car than I've experienced in some of the larger engines in all of the current BMW products. The 8-speed transmission that we see in all of the modern BMWs is honestly close to flawless. There's a few things that will change around though when you go into sport mode. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. And to talk about the steering, it's an adaptive electrically assisted steering rack, and driving through town feels very natural, very consistent. When you're going on a bit of a faster drive, it weights up really nicely, and honestly I have a very good understanding of what the wheels are doing at every given moment. Where I think it is the most surprising is on the highway, where it has a truck-like heaviness to it. And that's not something to bash against the X3. I actually mean it as quite a compliment, because in this car we don't have lane keeping assist. We only have lane departure warning, where the steering wheel vibrates when you're crossing the line or just about to cross the line. So with this on the highway, you barely need any input whatsoever. It's just tiny, minute corrections. It gives this car a sense of stability, like it's locked into the road, and it just doesn't feel like it's bothered by any of the external influences of the wind or the road. The suspension is compliant, and it's meant to be a little more engaging than many other cars in this segment. It doesn't float down the road. It does let you know about the road surfaces of which you're driving upon. I'm a big fan of that though. It feels like this X3 has more BMW DNA in it than I think any X3 that's come before it. Highway driving in the X3 is incredibly refined and quiet. We do have quite small wing mirrors, so that is, I think, helping with the overall wind noise. Looking over your shoulder, you'll have a little bit of a blind spot. Nothing that I think is out of place in this segment of vehicle, this construction of vehicle. So the different driving modes, I said Eco Pro, Comfort, and Sport. Eco Pro features the same coasting function that a few other BMW and Mini products are coming with these days, where the engine and the transmission will decouple if you're going down a hill, or you're getting off of the highway and you've just left off of the gas and the brake. And you can see that all in action within your digital screen, but that can only be accessed in Eco Pro. Going into Sport and Sport Plus, again, we'll change around the dial layout, but it has quite a dramatic effect on how the X3 feels. Gets a lot more reactive. You get a lot of kickback when you lift off of the throttle. I'll demonstrate it now. I'm going to go into Sport Plus. Let's get a little bit of action going here. So that diving forward kind of motion that I have there, maybe it's the suspension that has dipped back and now was leveled out again, or there's some kind of engine braking going on. The effect of sport mode is noticeable. And then of course with sport mode, it'll take the best advantage of your manual shifting for the 8-speed gearbox with the paddle shifters mounted behind the steering wheel. Reacts incredibly well, very sharp and quick shifts. And the BMW brand, they're amongst the only vehicles I get into that have these paddle shifters, and I want to use them because they work well enough that they provide a value of entertainment and they encourage driving enthusiasm. Let's quickly wrap up with the interior. I've been in a lot of current BMW products, so everything looks very familiar to me. The touchscreen is excellent, and with wireless Apple CarPlay, it does annoy me how BMW is setting up their sort of pricing system with it, but nothing we can do about that. No Android Auto, so that's another element of it that could potentially annoy some customers that are looking for that feature. But touchscreen is utterly brilliant. I always love going back into using this rotary wheel because it just works so damn well. For taller drivers, again, I could say you could fit in all of these seats remarkably well, and for the front seats you have the thigh extension, which is critical for tall drivers such as myself. In this exact model we have this oak trim, very glossy, but I have to say it comes from plastic trees, it's not real wood. And one of the two gripes I have with this interior is that I wish the wood would expand further. Here you'll see down by your shift lever and the iDrive controller, there's only this portion, the wood look. I wish it could take up some of that piano black plastic space as well. And then we have a little plaque for X3 in case you ever forgot what car you were driving. And then finally, the only other gripe, the bottom of the door cards are scratchy plastics. They're huge and I can easily fit my ginormous water bottle in them. And if I'm honest with myself, it's hard to come into these premium compact cards that don't have hard plastics here at the bottom. It's just become the norm of where I thought a few years ago that wasn't the case. Perhaps a few other quick tidbits to add of things that I like about the X3. The looks are yes, slightly different. I think it's overall a better looking vehicle, but all of the significant parts of the car have been swollen. They are larger, so there's a bigger grille, bigger tail lights, there's chunkier side extensions because we're in the X-Line model, so we have that different looking grille up front. In the M Sport line, you'll get the face that belongs on the M40i and then slimmer side profiles. This trim level is intended to be the more rugged version of the X3. I'm immensely impressed with this X3. It is the base level trim. It comes with almost no additional options, but I really don't feel like I'm missing out on much here. So that wraps up everything I wanted to say about the 2020 BMW X3. I am fully impressed with this vehicle. Is it my favorite in the class? Not quite, but I still want to give this car a segment leader, as I'm impressed with its driving dynamics, the space that's inside, and the standard list of technology, where I know that quite a few brands can be a little iffy when it comes to the kind of equipment that you want to buy versus what you can get in the entry-level vehicle. So yes, the X3 is a segment leader. I love the way it drove. Being inside, it feels like a very modern BMW product. And personally, there's someone that's single and doesn't require all the space of the bigger vehicles like the X5 and the X7. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything at all with this X3. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it and share it if you think other people will like it too. And if you want to do me the biggest favor in the world and hit that subscribe button, that would be marvelous. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you around soon.